Welcome, Ryan Avery.
So, how many of you know what autism or Asperger's is? Yep. Do any of you know anybody with autism? Or a family member? Yep. Okay. My name is Ryan. When I was a little boy, my mom noticed my behavior was a bit different to other kids. I didn't jibber jabber. I wasn't giggly. I would just sit there and do nothing. My mom was very concerned about my behavior, so she took me to a psychologist, and me at 5 years of age, I was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome. This really upset my mother because she knew that it would be a struggle to raise an autistic child. What's the definition of Asperger's? Asperger's is a neurocognitive disorder. It affects many parts of the brain. It's a spectrum of autism. So there's severe autism and there's high functioning autism. People with Asperger's don't often understand rules of society. Sometimes they don't understand jokes or what people are even saying.
Okay, what do you want?
Try and address that.
What do you want them to take from this? What do you want them to pay attention to in the video? Just that she's explaining it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That question. But autism is not a single condition. It's actually a spectrum of disorders. A spectrum that ranges, for instance, from Justin, a 13-year-old boy
who's not verbal, who can't speak, who communicates by using an iPad to touch pictures to communicate his thoughts and his concerns. A little boy who, when he gets upset, will start rocking, and eventually, when he's disturbed enough, will bang his head to the point that he can actually cut it open and require stitches. That same diagnosis of autism, though, also applies to Gabriel, another 13-year-old boy who has quite a different set of challenges. He's actually quite remarkably gifted in mathematics. He can multiply 3 numbers by 3 numbers in his head with ease. Yet when it comes to trying to have a conversation, he has great difficulty. He doesn't make eye contact. He has difficulty starting a conversation, feels awkward. And when he gets nervous, he actually shuts down. Yet both of these boys have the same diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. One of the things that concerns us is whether or not there really is an epidemic of autism. These days, 1 in 88 children will be diagnosed with autism. And the question is, why does this graph look this way? Has that number been increasing dramatically over time? Or is it because we have now started labeling individuals with autism, simply giving them the diagnosis when they were still present there before, yet simply didn't have that label? And in fact, in the late 1980s, the early 1990s, legislation was passed that actually provided individuals with autism with resources, with access to educational materials that would help them. With that increased awareness, more parents, more pediatricians, more educators learned to recognize the features of autism. As a result of that, more individuals were diagnosed and got access to the resources they needed. In addition, we've changed our definition over time. And so, in fact, we've widened the definition of autism, and that accounts for some of the increased prevalence that we see.
People with Asperger's often have difficulty socializing, like me. I don't really like looking people in the eye. It makes me feel really uncomfortable. It gives me the chills. I have problems talking to people, usually because it's topic related. Like, sometimes when I'm talking to a person, I have no idea what they're even talking about. Sometimes I do understand, but I don't know how to respond. And I have troubles starting conversations. So to help with that, every Thursday I see a speech therapist, and she helps me with the dynamics of school and other situations with my peer groups. It is hard playing games. I'm not very good with competitive sports like soccer and basketball. I prefer non-competitive sports like swimming and gymnastics. I'm much better with that. And I like to have a coach that understands me. I'm very rule bound when it comes to play. Like when I was little, I didn't really play with my trains. I used to mainly just line them up. I like things that are long because you can twirl it, twist it, and bend it. But with a ball or a brick, can't do much with it. All you can do is kick it, you can throw it, you can roll it. I just don't see the point of that.
Your favorite thing was snakes, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah, I love snakes. You can swallow the prey whole. You need to chew it.
So cool.
And when I was little, I was not a builder. You would never see me playing with Lego or blocks or doing puzzles because I'm very bad. Clothes.
I love this one.
This is the one thing I have a real problem with. When I get a t-shirt, I can't have a tag in it. Even if it has a tag in it, the remains will still itch. I can't stand t-shirts that have tags. Ah, they're so annoying.
So funny.
And I hate clothes shopping. Mainly because of jeans. I can't have jeans that are too tight and too loose. It just feels so uncomfortable. But that isn't always the case. Last year I bought these black jeans that were stretchy. They were comfortable for about 5 minutes. But after that I thought I had friggin' hay in my pants. Oh. God, I hated them. Sometimes I just like to be alone. Especially at the end of the day. I just like to go in my room and play my iPad. I just can't stand to be bothered with. Usually when there's family function, I just go in my room and play my iPad. Mainly because many of my family members don't understand me. Even though I've known them for a long time, doesn't necessarily mean that they understand autism right away. I know lots of people who I've known for my whole life and they still don't understand me. Mind blindness. This refers to a person with Asperger's who has a hard time figuring out what other people are saying. It is said that people with Asperger's have a lack of empathy. That's not true. I have lots of empathy for lots of people. I care for a lot of people, especially my family. And that really bothers me when people say that. But people with Asperger's often have a lack emotion. Like when my 2 grandfathers died, I didn't cry, but I was very upset. Of course, I like some humor, but not all humor. I don't really understand sarcasm. I prefer reading things that are non-fiction than fiction, because it's real, right?
Yeah.
I don't see the point in reading something that's not real. Some fiction is good, like science fiction, but if it's like dragons and trolls, good God. I like to have something that I like to have it when we're focused on one thing, not on a whole bunch.
Yeah.
That's just too much for me. Just can't stand multitasking.
Okay.
You drove Elgin there from the internet. School can be difficult for me, mainly because of all the distractions and trying to organize the homework. Sometimes it can be an overload of information for me. Sometimes it's hard for me to switch from one activity to another because I like to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
But suddenly, when we just turn to the other one, it's like, what? What?
Yeah.
It's almost like a slap in the face, you know? Yeah. Sensory sensitivities. These are the things that bother me. When I was little, I hated being in the sun. Oh, I couldn't stand being in the sun. It's just because of the sun shining in your eyes. Oh, I used to have my head down all the time. I looked depressed. My SCA wondered why I had my head down. Well, no, it's because of the sun. I hated being in the sun. I like being in the sun now that I'm 16, wearing them nice shades. But still, I like to have sunglasses when I'm in the sun. Some loud noises bother me, like screaming kids, and that annoys me. Sometimes when people whisper too softly, I don't like that. I like them to speak up. Like, speak up, please. And some smells bother me, like spices. Ugh, I don't like spices. Another thing that used to bother me is when I was little, when it was wet outside, I didn't like the squeaking on the floors. It used to agitate the hell out of me. I always have to wipe my feet off so I didn't hear that freaking squeaking.
Annoying.
Yeah, it was annoying. I'm over that now. Another thing that I'm over is I used to hate wearing socks when I was younger. It used to bother me. Oh, and another thing is when I get a haircut, I have to take a shower afterwards. I have to take a shower. I can't stand wearing a t-shirt that has hair in it. When I was 12 and 10, I never got a haircut, so I used to look like Leif Garrett.
You guys know who Leif Garrett is?
Those who don't know, he was a really hot singer with long blonde hair.
Like, he's literally an 80s icon, and he's talking about him.
Yes.
And why is that you know who Leif Garrett is?
Because of my dad. He used to say to everybody, oh, Ryan looks like Leif Garrett. Ah!
Totally, you can see it. Look at his face.
Do we look a lot alike?
Totally. Look at him.
That's what he looks like now.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids.
That's so awesome. Next, sir, fascinations.
My fascinations are animals, snakes, plants, birds, and where they live. Another fascination is collections. I like to collect things. I'm a hoarder, but I'm not really a player. Not the player you're thinking of. I mean player like playing with things.
Good humor, eh? Good humor. You got good humor, young man.
I also have a very strong memory.
Yeah.
I can remember grade 1. Actually, kindergarten. I can remember kindergarten.
Like, really well.
Oh, yeah. I can remember, like, kindergarten, like, last week.
Wow, that's so cool.
But my short-term memory, that needs some working on.
Don't like my Quizlets, right?
No,
Yeah.
and I like talking about the past, like the 80s and the crazy clothing you used to wear.
It's the best.
Oh,
It's the best
jeez.
decade, man. Decade ever.
And it really annoys me when people don't remember the past. It's like, come on, it can't be that long ago, can it? Maybe 10 years ago. Jeez. Collections. Like I say, I'm a hoarder, not a player. I've been collecting little white rocks since 2007, so I've been collecting it for pretty much my whole life. I also like collecting toy snakes. Some collections I stocked was gravedigger trucks. When I was younger, I used to collect these monster trucks. Oh jeez, I have a lot of collections. Another thing is I sometimes collect snakes, like a particular snake.
But not real ones, right?
No,
Pretend.
I want a real snake though.
You do, eh?
Yeah.
You say you don't like to give anything away.
Yeah, that's the other thing is,
What's that about?
the reason I don't like giving things away is, it's like, you're never gonna see it again. Like the fact that you're giving it away and you're never gonna see it again. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Also, when I used to go to summer camp, some kids I had really good relationships with. And then once the week was over, that's it. You never see them again. So I used to just sit there, stand there for an hour, looking at all the kids, remembering their faces, until I leave and never see them again. Yeah. Bullying. Who here has been bullied? Have you all been bullied?
How many of you have been bullied? I was bullied.
Was even by school people.
When you're little? Yeah.
Pretty much everybody's been
Pretty
bullied.
much everyone.
When I was 5, I went to Alaska, and my dad's friend's son, he kept spitting in my face with water. I just tried ignoring it, and I thought, just an asshole. He can't help himself. But he just wouldn't stop. Kept doing it. So, you know what? I said to myself, you know what? That's it. So I grabbed my canteen and just like that. That little twit stopped after that. I went to this summer camp, I think it was in 2009. We were making this fort or whatever. And I didn't know what to do. I wanted to help, but didn't know what to do. So I just sat there and just watched them. And then after we were done, this twit kept complaining at me that I was being lazy and I didn't do anything. I specifically explained to him, but he was still being extremely rude and disrespectful. So I just ignored him. And when I was in grade 8, I used to walk home from school, and these 2 boys used to harass me and my friend. They would call us names and they would mock us. One time I was walking to school, and one of them asked me if I had Down syndrome. One of them asked me if I have Down syndrome. Do I look like I have Down syndrome?
You look like Nate Garrett.
Thank you. So, in grade 9, I finally told the teacher, and they said to them that if you keep bothering us, you're going to be suspended from the school. So after that, they stopped. I've been bullied many times, but I just throw it over my shoulder, and I just keep my head high. There's many famous people with Asperger's. There's athletes, there's actors, there's singers, and composers and inventors. Many of them have been very successful. Like, everybody, you know who Bill Gates is, right? Yup, he has Asperger's. Anybody heard of Adam Young? The guy who wrote that song Fireflies? He has Asperger's.
Oh.
Go on. Keep going.
Hans Christian Andersen, the guy who wrote The Ugly Duckling, he always thought he had Asperger's. Heather Kuzmic, fashion model, she has Asperger's. The Susan Boyle, a singer who sang on Britain's Got Talent, which we're about to show you, she has Asperger's. Albert Einstein, the face of science, he had Asperger's. He was a kid, never had any friends, and one trait we both shared is we used to hate wearing socks. Couldn't stand having a wool thing wrapped around my butt. Get it off. Dan Aykroyd, the guy from Ghostbusters, yeah, he has Asperger's. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he has Asperger's. And the guy, the creator of Pokemon, he has Asperger's. Yeah.
That's a lot of people, buddy.
I know. Too many to mention.
Yeah. Do you want to go to the video now?
Yeah.
What do you want to say about Susan Boyle before we show this?
I just want to tell you that this is how we're treated. So we're going to show you how most of us are treated.
So the looks. You guys have all
Just the
seen this.
looks. I've been getting these looks for 10 years.
My name
You
is
guys
Susan.
know this video, I'm sure.
I'm nearly 48, currently unemployed but still looking. And I'm going to sing for you on Britain's Got Talent today. I am from Blackburn near Bathgate, West Lothian.
It's a big town.
It's a sort of collection of, villages. That's a thing there.
And how old are you, Susan?
I am 47. And that's just one side of me.
Okay, what's the dream?
I'm trying to be a professional singer.
And why hasn't it worked out so far, Susan?
I've never been given the chance before, but here's hoping it'll change.
Okay, and who would you like to be as successful as?
Elaine Page.
Elaine
something like
Page.
that.
What are you going to sing tonight?
I'm going to sing I Dreamed a Dream from the Miserables.
Okay. Big song.
Yeah? Yeah.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by. And for the skies I
You sing next to that, did you? Did you? No.
I dream of love that never
So what did you want to add to that, Ryan? What you saw there in that video that reminds you of your life?
That's most of the time how I've been treated. I've had people misjudge me. I've had people make rude remarks about me. Sometimes even the way I dressed. At one point, I used to tuck my t-shirt in for respect, and also because I used to hate jeans touching my waist. And people would call me a nerd. They would just say horrible, horrible things about me. I wanted to talk to everybody just so, not just understand me, but understand people with Asperger's and Autism, just so they know what's kind of going on with their brain.
And by talking about it, what do you think that does?
It makes people emphasize more about them.
That's right. That's awesome.
The conclusion, I will say, I'm always gonna be autistic. There is no cure for Asperger's. I will always be at least mocked once or bullied once, but I can throw that over my shoulder. I'm gonna be autistic even till the day I die, even as an old man. There are ways to cope with it. And if you are bullied, either you can deal with it or you can just throw it over your shoulder and keep your head high. And it's always important to never, ever give up. Thank you for listening to my